Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Creator Spotlight Season 3 from The Interface. Creator Spotlight is our series where we talk to creators about what they make and do and how they got started. Today I'm joined by Alex Harrington. How are you doing, Alex?
Fine. Yeah, it's been a long week, F1 weekend, so I haven't stopped working quite yet, but great. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. How are you doing?
I am really good, thank you, yeah. It's good to finally, well, I met you in person before, but it's good to finally get you to talk to you in the conversational space, so it's great.
Yeah. Really good.
So for people that are not too sure who you are, just give us a sort of a rough introduction about what you make and do.
Oh, so I do quite a bit. A lot of my stuff is behind the scenes, but I'm a writer for Sports Illustrated's F1 site, and I run a website called GrandTourNation.com as well, which started off as kind of a Jeremy Clarkson Grand Tour fan website, really,
Yep.
but it evolved into more of a motoring and more of a motorsport website. And then I run a number of other websites. I'm a partner in an LA based what would you call it, digital content creation firm. So
Yep.
do a load of stuff, and then I build some websites as well. And I'm all over the place, but it's great fun, and I love doing it.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Grand Tour Nation, that's where I first heard of you.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
You're that one. You're the one person. I like it.
The one person. Yeah, so like when Grand Tour was sort of at its full height of production back in whenever it was, there was obviously a lot more stuff being seen about them doing filming in various locations. It was good to have sort of a one place to sort of get behind the scenes of what they're doing and people spotting filming. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of that. When the Grand Tour, like you said, when it was in full production, it's not anymore. They're doing like 1 or 2 episodes a year, which has been great for page views, as you'd expect. But we were all over the place following what they were doing, and it was great fun. And growing up watching Top Gear and later on the Grand Tour, having that kind of journalistic connection to them, doing interviews with them, it was great. And I mean, Grand Tour Nation was like my introduction to this kind of job as well. So,
Yeah, because you interviewed Andy Willman, didn't you? That was quite cool.
yeah, I've interviewed all of them now.
Oh, right.
So I actually, my first paid journalistic job was actually working for them on Drive Tribe. Do you remember Drive Tribe?
Yes, yeah.
So it was back in the day, maybe seven years ago now.
Yep.
And I was just like everyone else on Drive Tribe, just kind of doing your thing and writing whatever you can. I was young at this point, so my writing was poor. But someone from Drive Tribe reached out and offered me a freelance paid gig with them. So that was great. And then I did, working a bit with them. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to have interviewed them a number of times for Clarkson's Farm, Grand Tour, and they are just lovely, lovely people. It's been great. I'm lucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's obviously a shame that it's sort of winding down a little bit. Hopefully not for a long time.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I think they've been doing it for a long time, and the Grand Tour, the budgets that they had for the Grand Tour was huge, and it was Amazon just basically gave them a load of money, and it was their choice to spend that money on the show or pay themselves or whatever. And I think it just didn't go as well as they hoped it to, because we had 3 seasons where they had the tent and they were going all around the world and things like that, and then people kind of got a little bored, and we realized that Top Gear, or what later became the Grand Tour, that kind of show slowly kind of went out of fashion. I think obviously the scope now is Top Gear, is YouTube and the YouTubers, and which is why they started Drive Tribe, because they wanted to get onto that social media train.
Yep. Yeah. So what made, back in when you started Grand Tour Nation, what made you actually get started into writing and doing that sort of thing?
Well, so I mean, it was I never had an interest in writing. I was never good at English in school, and I was basically following science and maths and music, and I was thinking I'll just become a teacher. And then I went on holiday with my girlfriend, now wife, and it was like my first time going on a plane, and we were going to Gran Canaria, and it was our first holiday, and she was like, you know what, you should really get a magazine just to read something on the plane. And she was like, why don't you get an Evo magazine? And I hadn't read, I'd read a few Top Gear magazines and whatever, but I picked up this Evo magazine, read it on the plane, and I was reading something by Henry Catchpole, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is the job. So So I remember going around Gran Canaria trying to find somewhere to buy paper and a pen, and I wrote my first article just by the pool. It was a great life. Things have changed. And yeah, that's where I got started. And then I was just kind of looking for writing jobs. Drive Tribe came along, and I thought, this is great. I'll post some stuff to Drive Tribe, do some videos and things like that. And then that got noticed. And then I actually found Grand Tour. So Grand Tour Nation doesn't belong to me. It actually belongs to a guy in LA called Gary Lee. And I got in touch with him, and I said, I've been doing a bit on Drive Tribe. Here's what I've written so far. I love writing about cars, and it's what I want to do. Can you take me on as a writer? You know, whether a free kind of voluntary job or paid or whatever. And he read the writing, and he said, "Yep, need someone to kind of run the website. You will do," basically. So I got a paid job there, which was really lucky. And then I kept on with the Drive Tribe stuff. We had a partnership with Drive Tribe through Grand Tour Nation.
Okay.
So as Grand Tour Nation, we were writing to Drive Tribe as well. It was 3 articles a day, and we got paid some money. And I think they were doing something at the time. It was like a partnership program. So we were one of those partners. And then Drive Tribe pulled me on as a freelance myself as well, and I just got into doing that kind of thing. And then it's just snowballed from there. It's been a crazy ride, but I've loved every minute of it.
That's interesting. I thought Grand Tour Nation was sort of your own little publication. You sort of like yourself.
I wish. So I direct the website. So Gary doesn't. Gary he manages a lot of websites, and this was back when I wasn't really doing much of the kind of overall management stuff. So he had a huge website, a huge LA sports website called Dodgers Nation, which is, I think, the biggest Dodgers website in America at the moment.
Right.
And he was focusing on that. So my focus was purely on Grand Tour Nation, just from a content production point of view. So I did that for maybe 2-3 years. And then eventually Gary and I, because obviously huge gap physically as well as in time, we started talking more, and then I took on more of a management point of view. So now I fully manage that website, do a few videos for it, write a lot, and I now manage writing teams as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. And then you guys do a podcast as well, but that's about F1, isn't it? But that gets published on the Grand Tour Nation YouTube channel. So
yes. So what happened? So I've done a lot. I'm completely overworked, and I'm burning out. And so Grand Tour Nation, we talked to a lot of people, and eventually things just started snowballing, and I got into. So the next kind of part of my career was website production.
Okay.
And I was doing websites for some sportsmen in the US, some baseballers, some Joshua Hader, and a few others. And then, because of where Gary lives, he lives in LA, in Pasadena, he just got chatting with the guys from Fast and Furious. And
as you do.
It's an LA thing. I don't understand it either. And I just got a call one day saying, look, Sung Kang, the guy who plays Han from Fast and Furious, he wants a website and some content to be produced for him. Can you do that? And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I can do that, because I loved Fast and Furious as a child. I was like, I had the Tokyo Drift 350Z on my wall. That was my childhood, and started doing some articles, built his website, started doing it was sungsgarage.com. I'm not sure if it's even going anymore. It might still be up. I wrote some articles, and then I interviewed him, which was great. And then his management got in touch with me and said, Sung's looking to do a podcast. Do you want to do a podcast with him? So I did a podcast with him a few times. Because of his work, like, he's got crazy hours. We eventually finished, basically. It just didn't work. Our times didn't line up. And I mean, we interviewed some amazing people. We interviewed some Formula Drift drivers, the director, Justin Lin, the director of a load of the Fast and Furious movies, some actors. It was really good. And then that came to an end. And we'd kind of been doing a GTN podcast for a little while as well, just me and some friends. And then things kind of changed once again. I was doing a lot of website production. And then one of our websites, it caught the eye of Sports Illustrated. They were very interested in one of our websites, and we eventually ended up forming a partnership where we'd write for them. So we have a number of sports websites within SI.com, mostly on American sports. And then F1 suddenly grew massively because of Drive to Survive and the general kind of marketing that Liberty Media is doing. And they offered us an F1 website. And we didn't expect it to grow that much. And we started it, and now it's been maybe just over a year, and it's the second largest in the world, which we're just completely blown away by. It's unbelievable. And, all of us we've been following F1 for a long time, and to actually be able to write about it and to make money is just ridiculous. It's a dream come true. So that's where the Driven Mad podcast comes from. That's attached to Sports Illustrated in that the weird partnership.
Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't realize that website would be so big.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
No, they sent out a press release literally maybe a week ago, because the Arena Group, which owns Sports Illustrated, they've got a number of investors, including Lewis Hamilton, really interestingly. I didn't know that. And they just had a billionaire invest into the company, and they sent out a press release to all of us. I was just reading through it, and I was like, wait a second, F1? Because they're doing notable whatever. It was like F1 site that's grown to the second largest in the world, and I thought, wow, I really need to up my game with my writing. So yeah, it's great, and we were lucky enough to go to Miami, the Miami Grand Prix earlier this year, and cover that on the ground.
That's awesome.
It was just unbelievable, just being surrounded by other people who love F1. I mean, obviously they're so much more experienced than me. They really, really know their stuff. So it was amazing to just absorb all of that and learn what they do. And yeah, it was lovely.
That's awesome. Yeah, you mentioned about a minute ago. You mentioned about writing not being sort of interested in it at school, that sort of thing. I always thought the same. So I've been running the interface for over 10 years now. And I remember,
really?
Yeah, I remember at school I wasn't too interested at writing, but somehow just throughout the path of whatever you do, it's sort of I love doing it now. So it's weird.
Yeah, I think school. I mean, my school at least was very much like, you shall learn Shakespeare, and you shall write poetry like Shakespeare. I grew up in Stratford upon Avon, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, when I started writing, I owned an MX-5 at the time. It was my first fun car, and I loved writing about that and just writing about the adventures I'd go on it. I'd do with it, and the car shows I'd go to, and the people I meet. And it wasn't even, when I started writing, I wasn't writing about the news or anything like that. It was because I always loved Richard Porter's column in the Evo magazine,
100%.
and I read them religiously. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and just be a fraction of the writer he is. And I just wrote about experiences. And that's where it started. And then, when I joined Grand Tour Nation, that's when actually I had a bit of a learning curve, because I suddenly went from just writing about my experiences to having to take information from a press release or, syndicated articles or whatever, and then put that into my own article. So it took me a long time to kind of get my head around that, but it was from that moment I started writing. It was always something I wanted to do.
Yeah, so I think I'm the opposite. I think I'd find it harder to write about experiencing things. All the stuff I do on the interface is news coverage basically, and I've just started doing car reviews as well.
Yes, I really like them, by the way.
Thank you.
Follow your YouTube, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was like, you were doing car reviews, I was like, I should really be doing something, because I always wanted to as soon as I started writing, I was watching Evo, Top Gear, and Chris Harris. He was the main inspiration for video. I loved it. I still love his videos on YouTube, and I was like, that too, I can try and do that. So yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome. So you just had I think you just reviewed a car or filmed it, the Honda Civic. What publication is that going under?
So that is for Sports Illustrated. That's for the F1 site. So my idea with that is, we've been doing news, and a lot of F1 is all news, really.
Yep.
It's like news 90%, and then the last 10% is like an opinion.
Yep.
And I thought, what would be really good is, as F1 gains so much coverage and as interest in the sport is at an all-time high, how can I relate F1 to the normal person? Someone who maybe hasn't got a huge, like someone who isn't like, incredibly nerdy about it. How can I kind of pull them into the group? And I thought, what, I'll just start looking at the connection between F1 technology in the sport and then in cars.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just thought, especially with the move to EVs, there's a lot of kind of electric hybrid stuff going on in F1, especially, the regulations in 2026, they're going to be massively more hybrid than they are currently. So I thought, okay, how can I kind of connect that to the general public? So I got in contact with all the teams and then their manufacturers. And I just said, look, this is the plan. I want to talk about technology and also kind of talk about like the life of an F1 driver. So that's something we're also focusing on is, they are jet setters. They race, but then 50% of their life is then traveling and eating the nicest food and seeing incredible things and experiencing the world. So I thought, okay, maybe I could do videos of cool road trips and things like that. So I just talked to manufacturers about that, and a lot of them are interested. Thank goodness, because it was my career. The Sports Illustrated name helps, obviously. That's been so helpful. And then Honda got back to me and they were like, I can give you a car tomorrow. So I got the Honda Civic eHev, the EHEV eHev. I don't know actually what they call it. I like eHev. I think that sounds.
I've never heard anyone say it before, so I'm not really sure.
That's Yelp. I can tell we both write for a living. do you end? There's one word. Oh, what is it? There's a word that I never pronounce. The epitome. I write epitome. Actually, more than I expect to. But in my head, I say epitome, and then because I say that, because I say it in my head, I then say it in real life, and people are like, "Mate, you're a writer. Why are you stupid?" Because I say it in my head. eHev. It was actually a great car. I really enjoyed the Civic. I think lovely. It's like it's just. I said in the video, which is actually going live soon. I said it's like a really, really good taxi, which for that kind of car is just the greatest compliment because it was built to be easy, and I think the powertrain's really interesting. And I've actually got the SUV version, the ZRV. That's just arrived this morning.
Okay.
That isn't as good. I think they've just built an SUV because everyone wants an SUV.
Yep.
But it's got the same exact powertrain as the Civic. I'm pretty sure it has the same chassis. It's just an SUV pumped on top. Yeah. So it's a bit heavier as you'd expect, and because of that, it kind of goes against what the Civic was. So I feel like it's just crowd pleasing.
Yeah. So how is that? So the Civic's your first video, I guess.
The Civic. I mean, I was lucky enough with Grand Tour Nation to do a few car reviews. I did a lot of written reviews.
Okay.
Then I thought I should do some videos because obviously YouTube is the future and TikTok now and Instagram, whatever.
Yep.
So my first video was, what was it? It was a Bentley Continental GT V8, and that was, I mean, what a way to be thrown in the deep end. That's the thing. I thought, okay, I've really got to do this car justice because it was just beautiful. I got it, and there was a car sat outside my house that cost more than my house, and it was like 240 grand's worth of car, and all my neighbors were like, "Wow, he started selling drugs," or like. OnlyFans or something. But the curtain twitches they were next level. But that was my first video, and it was like I had 3 or 4 days with the car, and I thought I'm really gonna have to do something. And the video was okay for a first try. It was fine, but the car was just incredible. I will never forget that turning up outside my house. It's just it's great.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you finding the filming process for the car videos?
It is so I work alongside my wife. My wife writes alongside me on a number of websites.
Okay.
Her kind of career has evolved from videography to house sales to journalism because she always watched what I was doing and she'd often be kind of writing in the background or like enjoying writing. She was always a very good writer. She was always very academic, and I'm very jealous. And now we work together. It's a lot easier because I can go out with someone who's got experience with videography and who can help, because setting up a tripod, then running back to the car and talking to, it's just really difficult. And that's what I did with the Bentley. So my wife wasn't working with me at the time, and it was, next to no equipment. I had a really cheap camera. Actually, did I even have a camera? It might have been on my phone. And I was trying to get shots of the car driving past, and I had to jump out, phone on a tripod, go back to the car, drive away, hope no one nicks the phone, and then drive past the phone. It was stressful, and then writing a script and having to remember that and everything. I found it quite difficult. Now I think I'm a bit older. That was 3 years ago. Now I'm a bit older. I think I'm a bit more experienced. I've been doing video just to the camera in here for a long time.
Yep.
And I'm finding it a bit easier. I have a camera now, which helps. I've got a microphone, which audio quality is so important.
Yep.
But I find it quite stressful. I would love to be the best presenter in the world, but I just haven't got the confidence, or maybe I just need to put in my 1,000 hours. But I find it quite difficult. The whole thing.
Yeah. So I've only done 3-4 videos in that sort of style for the interface website, and it's the first one definitely was more awkward than I would have liked, but it gets easier. So
yeah, it was the same. It was when I first started doing videos just to camera in my office, and then I watched them back, and I was like, oh, that's my voice. That is awful. That's horrible. But then I think I'm sure you do this too. Like, you watch the video back and you go, okay, I can do that different. I can do that. I can improve here and whatever. And I just wrote these things down on a list. And I actually have it with me. I've got this by me all the time. It's just my notebook of notes and things, and I just have lists of things I need to do and how I can improve. And I take this out when I'm filming, when I'm working.
Yep.
And
that's good.
I just look over it, and I just try and improve each video. And same with my articles as well. I try and these days it's so difficult to balance the speed of writing and the quality of writing, because everything is so fast paced now. It's on the internet. But yeah, I try and improve. I don't, but I try.
Yeah, that's what the least you can do, I suppose.
Yeah. How are you finding it? Because you only just started. When did you start doing it? Not long ago.
So, as I said, the interface website began for about 10 years, and then I started doing the videos in May.
Okay, yeah.
So, pretty recently, to be honest. It was daunting, to say the least, the first one I did. I was mithering about it a few weeks before I had the car delivered, and how am I going to do this shot, and how am I going to do that, and is this going to look okay? And then it took ages to edit it, because I was trying to be really careful about it, and took ages to film it, and then it got there in the end. So it's got easier since I've done other cars since. But
did you find it really difficult to actually find a place to film?
So where I film, I actually got so I live on a farm, so I've got place to I've got space to put the car, but I work with a guy called Jim Starling, who we do a podcast together about EVs, and he finds it difficult to find places. He's got a few places where he uses to film, but I can imagine if you haven't got that space, that it's quite difficult to film.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. I mean, with the Bentley, it was in the middle of the pandemic. Actually, that's what it was. And I wanted to take it somewhere really nice. Like, at the Evo Triangle or Northern Hills, somewhere nice. I thought, what, in the middle of the pandemic, that's probably not the right thing to do. So I stuck quite close, and there's just round the corner, there's this kind of car. It's like a dirt car park. It's a makeshift car park with tree coverage and nice light and things like that. And that's where I filmed it. But it took so long because people were constantly coming in and walking past, driving past. I mean, I remember years ago, one of the first videos I did with GTN, I did a video on how to clean glass, because while I was in uni, I took business in uni, and while I was in uni, I made money by washing cars and detailing. And so I thought, you know what, I'm good at that. I can do videos. And I parked the car somewhere. It was a Lexus IS200, this car I had at the time. And I just couldn't finish the video because people were constantly walking past and going, what are what are you doing? It was just so difficult. But now I think I found a place.
That's
I think
good.
I found a place.
Yeah,
I'm sure people did come up to us and like, are you supposed to be here? So I don't know.
that's quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's getting all the camera shots right and all the filler shots and making sure what you're saying is actually going to be correct. So, and scripting some voiceover. So it takes a lot of time, but it's worth it. So
Yeah, I think like that's the thing with our jobs is that we don't just have to learn how to write. We then have to learn how to video, how to script write, how to edit, and that's what I love about what we do is that it entails so many different skills. It's constantly evolving as well. You know, with the social media rising and that kind of stuff, it's constantly learning. And like doing these videos has been great because I can just sit on YouTube every evening and I can watch hours of people showing you how to edit and how to get the best angles and things like
that. Yeah, it's definitely yeah. With all the filming, you can watch so many guides, but until you do it yourself,
yeah, exactly.
Then it's just not gonna.
I took the Honda down to I took it down to Somerset, so I live just below Birmingham. I took it down. I drove all the way down to Somerset to film outside Hinkley Power Station.
Okay.
And we got there, and I was trying to do some nice kind of beauty shots, and I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So I tried, and I was so tired of all the driving, and I just slept so badly the night before, worrying about like having to video this car. I went back. We literally went back home, and I was like, I need to sort myself out. And what I did is I went through my favorite car review videos, and I just screenshotted the angles they took of their cars, and I just tried to like emulate their talent. Basically, that's what I tried to do, is just emulate what they were doing.
Yeah, and until you sort of think, oh, that's how I could do it, and then
exactly. And then it sparks something, doesn't it? You're able to, you like. I love the shot where you're looking down on a wheel, and there's that slight rotation in the angle, and I was thinking, oh, I could do that on the exhaust, and I could do that on the headlight or whatever, and it just spurs some ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so with the F1 podcast you do, how long have you been doing that with?
Oh, we have been doing it only for about just over 2 months. We've done 8 episodes. 8?
Must be one a week. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just over 2 months, and then we've just had the summer break, and we were going to do it over the summer break, and we thought, actually, you know what? There's not a lot going on. I don't feel like we can bring a lot of value to a podcast, and we had the car as well, and work was going crazy with other stuff, and we thought, yeah, we'll take a break from the podcast just over the summer break, and we actually need to get back onto it today, so we're gonna film another episode today. But even then, like the podcast has been such a learning curve because it's how do we get the best audio? How do we get the best angle? The lighting? It's great fun. It's great fun, but it takes much more time than you expect it to.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Just before we wrap up a little bit, have you got any advice for anyone? So I always ask this question to everyone I speak to. Have you got any advice for anyone looking to do the same sort of thing that you're doing now? Looking to get started into either videography or journalism. So
I think a lot of people want to write about cars, and I think they should. Like that, a lot of people are saying, oh, writing about cars is difficult to get into, and yes, it is if you want to go for a magazine and things like that. But there are so many websites out there. I'm not saying they'll pay overly well because a lot of them don't. There was that thing on Twitter a couple of days ago about a job listing which was in London or something. It was £7 an hour, like way below London minimum wage. But the advice I have is just write. It doesn't have to be about cars. Just write about something and create a story. And then once you're comfortable with doing that, write about cars and just write about anything. You saw a cool car at a show, write about it. You drove somewhere and you thought it was a great road or a great experience, then just write about it and create that story. Then once you've got a little collection of what you've written, just send it to people and talk to people, reach out to people, just take a bit of a risk and don't be shy about it. I think a lot of people, they don't expect it to come to them. That's the wrong way of saying it. I think a lot of people are just nervous about putting themselves out there. and you can't be, and you just go and do it. And then, yeah, exactly the same with video. If you want to get into video, then just video something. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, make it for yourself, do your best, and just build a story. And then, it's also helpful to use the internet, and there's so much advice out there. Just spend hours watching other videos, emulating that, watching tutorials, reading about it, and just fully just dive into all that content out there, and hopefully something will stick.
Yeah, obviously, YouTube's been a very long time now, so it's gonna be. It's not like we're starting out on something new again.
Yes.
When YouTube first launched, it was. Well, I don't remember it, but judging by what all the stuff that people make at the time, it's like, oh, you didn't. It's obviously that new. You obviously didn't. It's just so much people trying the format in different ways. So
yes, that's actually a very good point. Yeah, I think something that I've done a lot is look at other industries and look at how they're innovating, and then I'm just trying to think of an example. If you just look at something a sweet shop's doing, or like your local Morrison's, or whatever, just look at what a business is doing and think, how can I adapt that to what I want to do? Whether it's their marketing or whatever, selling something, and just try and use that for your industry. That's something that I also found really helpful. Just kind of opening that box and like thinking about things from a different perspective, definitely. And yeah, like you said, like YouTube has been going for a long time. Threads have just started. I don't know if it's actually been successful. I went on it and then I kind of left it very quickly.
Yeah.
But like when something new starts, just jump in, and you've got to like make the most of it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to end, if that's okay.
Of course. No, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Alex, for joining me on the Creator Spotlight podcast. It's been really good to talk to you about what you make and do. Where can people find you if they want to find out more about what you make and do?
Oh, well, I mean, I try to be active on social media, but I'm not. But I'm trying. So you can find me at AlexDoesF1 on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to read what myself and my amazing team of writers write, you can find them on f1briefings.com. It forwards you to the SI website, but our part of the SI website. And then grandtournation.com. We try and do our best. Oh, on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. We're all over YouTube.
Awesome.
You'll find us eventually.
Yeah, links will be in the show notes. If you're watching us on YouTube, the links will be in the description down below. You can find the interface at theinterface.uk and also on YouTube as well. Thanks again, Alex, for joining me, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.